Hi everyone, and welcome to Talking Notes. And we're looking at resistance to social influence, especially the role of social support and locus of control today. So here's some keywords that you need to make sure that you know what they mean. So externality, so people believe that their experiences and behavior are controlled by external forces. Internality, the same thing as well, that we are responsible for our own experiences and behavior. You also need to know for the specification what locus of control is, and finally social support. So these are the keywords if you are going to be using like revision cards, or you're going to be testing yourself, recording yourself to be able to learn these. I advise you do so, because you need to use these words, especially when you're doing the extended writing questions. Okay, so this is just a general gist of what this topic is about, and you need to know, for example, the key points. That remember, the specification requires that you know what social support is and what locus of control is. You need to look at these like ideas or theories. Very, very important. So, for example, the idea of social support is that people who have like an ally, or somebody who is willing to go against the majority of people, individuals are most likely to not conform or not obey, simply because another person is actually looks like they're supporting them. Okay, and so that's just a theory and idea of how things work in the world. And we also have the theory of locus of control. So people who are high internal locus of control are most likely to be able to resist the pressures of social influence. Yeah, so these kind of things that we need to know. You need to look at these as a theory, because it'd be very, very important. Then it's not research, yeah, it's theories. How we evaluate theories is that we can look at research, for example, what research has shown. For example, um, Allen and Levine in 1969, they're the ones that said social support is significantly more effective in resisting conformity when the person is providing the answers first. Okay, so they found this out. So that supports the role of social support, and just the same thing with locus of control. So I've picked out the key researchers. Again, this is what you will need to revise. You need to revise these key names and key researchers, etc., what they say about this particular theory, or what research that they've done to support these particular theories. Okay, so you need to know this, and also you've got some examination questions as well to try. Now, I'll say the more you try these examination questions, the more you try to keep writing them, the better you are at doing them. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put a focus here on the 12-mark question. So we could get a question on outline and evaluate the role of social support and locus of control in resisting social influence. And this is 12 marks, because obviously this is the AS year that you're actually doing. Now, be very, very, very careful here, because a 12 mark carries obviously a lot of marks, hence why I am focusing on this for these particular talking notes. As you know, as you may not, or you should know by now, is 12 marks um, carries 6 marks towards the AO1, which is knowledge and understanding, and 6 marks towards the AO3, which is looking at more evaluation. Okay, and as you know already, we tend to give you marks based on the bands that we put you in. So for the purposes of this, I only focus on level 4, because I thought everybody has the potential of achieving a level 4 band. It's just that when I read and mark essays in the summertime, people don't tend to move past either level 2. They tend to be stuck in a level 2, and very rare few people get into the level 3 band, because they actually don't know what the examiners are looking for to be able to reach the level 4. So this is what I actually want to do. So I've actually written a full question answer down, an essay here, but I wanted to give you an example of how we meet the level 4 criteria for this particular type of question. So first things first, they always give you space to plan your answer. Yeah, I would always advise you plan your answer. In fact, I would advise that you start with the 12-mark question first, because that carries the majority of marks. I say you should be writing between 350 to maybe 500 or so words. I've done a bit more on this particular essay simply because I wanted to demonstrate a point. Yeah, but it can be cut down. Okay, and remember, you're going to be under time conditions, so things are not going to be as perfect as you want them to. be. And that's why I always advise, do not try to memorize essays off by head. You memorize the keywords, you memorize the key researches that you're going to use, and everything else should flow naturally. You should, for example, know that you need to demonstrate knowledge and understanding. You should, for example, know that you need to demonstrate skills of evaluation and analysis afterwards, etc. You should not prepare these kind of questions, and the more you practice how to write these from your own head, the better. Okay, so here's an example I've taken from one of the paragraphs of this essay that I've written, and as you can see here, all of this here is AO1. Okay, so I've now outlined the role of social support in resisting social influence. Okay, so I've also used Ash's variation studies. As you can see, I didn't start saying, Ash wanted to do this, he done this. I didn't do no aims, procedures, find it. No, I didn't, because it's not needed, because it's not asking me to outline research. It's really telling me to outline a theory, like the role of social support and locus of control. So if I was to start outlining research, it wouldn't be relevant for this particular question. Yeah, I wouldn't be getting any marks for it. So I'll probably be getting onto the probably band 1 or maybe band 2. Okay. I'll probably be like band 2, which will be, if I was to start outlining research, um I'll probably be limited, lacks clarity in organization. So yeah, so I need to be always heading for level 4. So I need to know what the question is asking me to do. So I put here in Ash's variation study, when a real participant was given someone to support him and give the right answer consistently through the trials, conformity levels dropped from 33% to 5%. This demonstrates the impact of social support in resisting influence. Now, you have to be very, very, very skillful here. You need to keep referring back to what the question wants you to do. The question wants you to look at the role of social support in resisting social influence. So me using Ash here, I've now demonstrated that the role of social support in resisting social influence is very important, because of it dropped from 33% to 5% in Ash's variation study. Okay, and then I further on start elaborating some more, and I start going really, so all this here, you're starting to do your AO3 now. Yeah, and then I start even further on. Evidence supporting and strengthening using these keywords, for example, shows that you're demonstrating skills of AO3. Okay, so evidence supporting and strengthening. Remember, it's evaluation, strengths and weaknesses. The role of social supports comes from Allen and Levine in 1969, who found that social support is significantly more effective in resisting conformity when a person providing it answers first. They also found that the social support given is more effective when it is valid, i.e. truthful. However, invalid social support can also reduce conformity as well. Now, the reason I haven't highlighted this is because I can get this from a textbook. I have got it from a textbook from somewhere. Yeah, anyone can do that. Anyone can memorize bits from a textbook and just use it. It doesn't mean you are doing anything with it. Yeah, and this is how you move from the very mostly effective or even limited effectiveness to thorough and effective, clear and coherent. Yeah, this is what you do, and these are the bits that's not going to come from your textbook, unfortunately. It means you need to start displaying skills of critical thinking. Yeah, so everything you do from here, so once you've got the textbook knowledge, for example, everything you do from here is going to be from your brain, and it has to be skillfully done. Okay, so what have I said? I've said this suggests. They love the word this suggests, because it shows that you are now starting to think. Okay, that in any group situation, it may be beneficial for a person who is unfamiliar with the group dynamics to listen to what the other group members have to say first, in case there was an individual who shared the same views as them. Ooh, examiners are like, wow, okay, you're showing how you're thinking practically here. They will then have the confidence to speak up, even if the individual is unable to get immediate group support. They could, for example, excuse themselves from the group and make a phone call to a friend and explain the situation. See, you're starting to think really, what is it saying to me? What is it now suggesting? Okay, but I'm even displaying even further, going further skills of critical thinking here by saying, hold on, However, it could be argued that certain situations like jury service, yeah, that's a real life application there, an individual may not be able to confide in anyone outside the group and could still be swayed to group influence even if they do not agree. Therefore, this may weaken the practicality of this particular theory. So can you see, I've now looked at both sides of the story. I've now looked at it in a good way, and I've now looked at it in a very not so good way. And it means you actually have to think. Yeah, you actually have to kind of go out of the box and think out of the box, think out of your textbooks and think, how can you elaborate on this? And this here, you doing something like this will immediately move you up to a level 4 because it's thorough and it's effective. It shows that you are using the textbook information and you're going one step further. Okay, so remember the question has asked you to outline and evaluate the role of social support and locus of control in resisting. So it's both of them. So this, for example, would just be the social support example. This will just be half of the essay. So what I have done is I've actually written out the full essay, and please, please, please do download it. Click the link in the description and actually take a look at the essay. I'm not saying copy it, but you can use it as an example of how you can try to reach a level 4 by commenting on the textbook information. So finalizing, again, the link is at the bottom of the description. So if you want to take a whole look at the whole essay, please, please, please do download it. And again, finally, practice makes perfect. Perfect makes it easy. If you do want an A in this subject, and it's not hard to get an A, yeah, but you do need to work for it. You do need to write as many of these as possible and practice, practice, practice. If you want to, for example, some people I've worked with over the years, so especially AS students, they've written like 2 essays a day. They've targeted themselves. Some people have written 2 a week. Okay, you can, for example, ask your teacher to mark them for you. What I also do a developmental marking service as well. What I personally look at every essay and I can give different types of feedback. But all my feedback is very, very developmental, where I say what you can do to improve, how you can reach, for example, the level 4 band, how you can reach, what things you need to do to tweak, etc. So please, please, please take a look, www.lecturesforlife.com, and submit to me the essays that you want me to take a look at, and I can give you back my personal feedback. Over, obviously, I've been doing this for many, many, many years, and sometimes a difference between a C grade and an A grade is very, very, very minimal. Just that you need to know exactly how you're going to move from there. Yeah, so what things are they actually looking for? Okay, so that is resistance to social influence. Take a look at my other videos later on that I will be putting on. Again, and when you download the essay, you're going to download all of these notes as well. So it's not just the essay, it's all of this stuff that you've been looking at as well. Okay,